Yeah, people, I'm back. And, I'm looking to have a great show today. I wanted to go over, the stress of, trying to break, new grounds over here, finally get this product out there, only to have people that you would have expected to be on your side not to be there. Going on the opposite fence with the whole thing is I find that there's been a lot of people just getting in the way of some of that. I did have some people that are, showing some love over here. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to joining the cult of Uncle Bobby here. As we continue to grow the numbers, the viewership, the memberships over here, I'm just stressed out with some of my personal life. Some of the people that are, in my personal life that I was expecting would have been my biggest cheerleaders and possibly even my biggest fans. But it seems that they are the biggest hurdles, the biggest challenges, the emotional baggage, that I carry into the show. I apologize. I just had some of this hair in my face. I needed to make sure that I, look decent for the camera. Because apparently some people, care about opinions. They don't have their Shia LaBeouf brand embodiment, where they should just not care about public speculations and opinions. Because again, I'd like to put myself in a space, in a place where their opinions don't matter. I don't give a shit. But there are others that do. And the big thread by this individual that did, it just seemingly doesn't have the same outlook about some of these productions that I do. I didn't think about some of the controversy behind some of those videos. But again, that's what we were doing, right? I guess we were creating controversy, creating moments. I thought that I was making magic here. I thought I was making slow breaking ground histories. I'm looking to be one of the fastest rising stars over here. Why wouldn't I? If I wasn't looking to do that, what would I even be doing all the time, people? I mean, honestly, I'd probably be, spanking my meat to a corn concert, getting corn popping. With the corn people, the children of the corn. But I don't want to get into all that. I just was trying to just, get into the mode of the episode. I was trying to, get into the mindset of what I would like to get done going forward. I didn't get to finish the whole clash in Paris. So I just stopped what I was doing because I had technical issues when I was doing that show for some reason. I don't know what was going on with the internet, the fiber optics, the Wi-Fi, the radio waves, and the microwaves, the sodium frying brain into a delicious good were not working for me. They were just failing me. Technology failing me as usual. I mean, what did I expect? The fuck did I expect? But, I didn't let it get to me. Or did I? People think that I let it get to me, but I didn't. So I broke it down into 2 shows. I'm going to finish the rest of it tomorrow. I got other things that I would like to get done for the Uncle Bobby experience. For that channel that I'm picking up. Starting to pick up a little bit of steam already again because I was slowing things down. But I'm looking to hit it 400. We have a couple of things to get done on that channel. And of course, the Remember Me podcast on its way to 50. Slow and steady. And I'm looking to take this show into its first 100 as well. I mean, I do have, hundreds of clips, but I don't count that. I'm just doing the episodes that I feel, stack up. And, I'm looking to stack it up, people. I'm looking to get the numbers up. I'm looking to get the viewership up. I'm looking to meet all these goals. I'm looking to run all these channels. I'm looking to run all these shows. But then I got people in they get in the way. They don't like some of the content I do. They want to stop me from doing some of the racier things. I don't want some of the sexual content coming out of you. If you want to stay married, conversations. If I'm going to cheat on you, conversations. And I should get rid of you and all this stuff. And I'm like, for what? I'm not even doing anything wrong. It's the way you perceive things. You're taking these things a little too far, a little too crazy. And then I got to deal with it. So I'm not trying to have any of that stop the production of the show, nor am I looking for it to cut the creativity of the show, because again, I'm not going to let anybody take the wheel anymore. It's my way or the highway. And what am I supposed to do? If you think that you can find somebody that it suits you better than me, I mean, what am I going to do about that? I can't stop you. You may have outgrown this relationship for all I know. I don't know. You have to decide this for yourself. I can't say this in the comments. People in the comments, what do you think? This lady outgrow the fucking mama? What the hell's what? The relationship? Is it an issue with the, attempt to get this growth here? So I'm looking to get this online business bigger than get with any larger. I'm looking to build a bigger platform. I've talked about this before. These are part of the talking points. Give me a second. Let me get this cannabis lit. I'm just trying to branch out in my creative nature. I'm trying to see what I'm good at. I'm trying to, work on my comedic gems over here. I've always loved to be a comedian. Anybody who really, really knows me would know that I'd really rather prefer to be a comedian. If anybody knows me to be, a vicious tyrannical tyrant, it's because I was at a point where I was tired of dealing with the individuals in my life. And maybe, like Roger Jackson. I was guilty of not changing the people in my life. And then I let it build up into a toxic situation. But I've learned to change. I've learned to grow. I learned to deal with my emotions. A lot of people think that I don't know how to do that. But I do. As I'm not a very emotional individual. Because if I was, then a lot of people would have felt the wrath already. I would have had to smash them. Like the expectations. Like the barriers. Like the glass ceiling. As we look to continue to just, evolve in this show. As my life continues to revolve in the show. It tends to be part of it at times. I don't want it always to be, but then again, I'm trying to be transparent with you. Something that the people that run this country can't tend to do. They can't seem to get it done. They were saying they were going to do all these things, and now they're around, they reneged on it. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to tell you anything about these SD files. But now they want to go after Obama. Excuse me, I had to flick the ash underneath me. Then they want to go and talk about UFOs and the world invasion and everything else. They want to go into Putin blowing everything up. Because these people want to distract us. They want to get our minds wrapped up around a lot of things so we can forget about the list. But we're going to get that list. We're still doing the Jesslyn Maxwell audio. I might drop some of that tomorrow as well. I got a bunch of things I need to do, really. So I might just get some of that done tomorrow as well. Get some more names out there. Maybe we can see who made the list. And, maybe expose some of these lies that's going around as they attempt to continue to outmaneuver the story here. But we're looking to bring you the story. We're not going to let them get away with it, people. At least we're going to put a little spotlight to it. Because if I wasn't doing that, then what would I even be doing with my time? And, again, I'm hoping that you're having a great time. Hopefully you're having a great day. And, from whenever we catch you. I think that my show can go with any drama that's going in your day, with any travel. With any smoking. Or, drinking, because we like to be the only adult time talk conversation, and why not have an adult beverage with that conversation? It also goes with a little bit of cannabis, and, maybe it's a little too late for coffee, but, if you're like me, el gringo loco, muy caliente, muy fuego, muy duro, y muy fuerte, then you probably would still drink a cup of coffee at any hour. It really wouldn't have mattered anyway, and still found a way to have a jittery night's sleep. Even though I'll tell you, I haven't had a good night's sleep in a long time, because I have nothing but problems getting up, urinating, thirsty, or just broken sleep in general, even if it wasn't for my diabetic illnesses and ailments. I just have trouble sleeping. I don't know. I don't find it where I sleep that comfortable. Even when I'm exhausted, even when I'm an emotional wreck, you should just crash out on the bed and get some snores. I don't get good sleep. I don't know. I just haven't had it in a long time. But I guess that with all the extra time on my hand and energies, I tend to want to just get some work done. I tend to want to go into the studio and just have a conversation. And what do you think about people that abuse their power? Because I think that a lot of these conversations tend to go together. Not just the ones in my personal life, but the one in the politically social polarizing world. Where do they correlate? When people have power, they tend to manipulate that power. They tend to let it get to their heads. And we talk about people that have power. And then they think that they can do whatever they want. They think they can get away with anything, and then it doesn't really work that way now, does it? But then we have people that attempt to manipulate you, and strong arm you to do things that they want out of you, to get things that they want out of you. And usually it's just to stop you from doing your best, from flourishing, from becoming a blossoming flower or butterfly. Even, they don't want to see you do your best. They don't want to see you achieve it. They want to see you glowing. They hate your aura. They probably hate everything about you. And I feel sometimes I may have surrounded myself by several different people that have nefarious reasons to behave that way around me. Constantly just stalking my channels, my pages, my phones, the data, the number, the statistics, the algorithm, the squiggly line going all the way to the tippy top. It's just a lot of manipulation being done over this, and I wonder, if it's because of demonic spirits or auras, or even because it was a hit from these subterranean beings over there. Those lizard people. They would love to induct Uncle Bobby into the Hall of Lizards, especially since I hit that 25K viewing on that Brock Lesnar reaction. And hopefully we're going to continue to shock the internet with the reactions, of the people as they continue to let everybody know that Uncle Bobby, is your favorite podcaster. And he's swinging these buggy whip bastards all around because he's not taking any shits over here. He's not taking a knee to them. I'm not bending over backwards. And did you get a good look at this whole Rob Zombie, motherfucking Rob Zombie over here? It's funny, I don't like his music, but I love this shirt. The middle finger being thrown because, I think that it suits me. I think that it just has something, it's calling me about this shirt. But again, I like to have fun, even if my life tends to be a little bit humdrum. Trust me, the amount of stress that I deal with on a daily basis, the amount of fucking down talking that I deal with on a daily basis, the amount of being told I should kick you on the street and take you out of here, because people want to pack me up. They don't want me to be the success that I'm looking to be. They don't want me to make it as a superstar. As I tell you that I'm looking to make it into Hollywood, and one day, maybe Uncle is going to change to Hollywood Bobby instead of Uncle Bobby. Who knows? There's so many different personas inside of one man. There's so many voices inside of one head. But maybe that's why I have to do these wellness checks. Maybe that's why they want to make sure that I'm just doing podcasts, that I'm not just going crazy. I told you I didn't tell you on this show. I might as well, because it's a different show. They might pitch a different audience. You never know what's going to go viral. I remember I was doing my own show back in the day, maybe like 2 years ago or so, maybe 3 years ago, when I was earlier on in this whole endeavor of doing shows. And Dr. Z was like, "Oh my God, Uncle Bobby, I thought you was going crazy." I was like, "Oh, that's what happens when you're doing podcasting." It is a podcaster, podcasting, planting pods. Hopefully you are becoming the pod people. As I'm looking to, slowly uproot into you and become part of your nervous systems, irrefutable, irremovable. Part of your daily activities, you're all the time, every time. Because again, I'm looking to be the huge number one, leaving everybody prairie dog in a huge number two, like my Shih Tzus that have been currently put, to sleep over here because they gotta get their beauty sleep. They probably thought I was saying that I had to get them, not neutered, not spaded. I forget fucking word. Euthanasia. I wouldn't do that to my babies. Because I want them to have the longevity that I look for. When I tell people I'm looking to do this like a Madonna, like a Cher, like a Bette Midler, like a Danny DeVito, like a Danny Glover, like a Dolly Parton, like an Ernie Hudson, like an Ernie Onesto, like a Rosetta Scotto. We want to be here for years, outrunning, outsourcing, outwitting the witless, the short-spended, the short-minded, the short attention spans of most average, everyday individuals that, wish that they could swing, me around a bit. But again, I'm looking to cultivate the body, the Uncle Bobby body over here. And, I'm a little bit hunched down because I want to make sure that I get all this mange into the camera. I want to make sure that I'm fully in this because there was one video where I was barely in it. It was crotch shotting a lot. I don't know what happened with that whole situation, but one of my better episodes, I didn't have to do too many cuts, because of the residual noises or anything. I really ran through that show, and I suggest you go back and check out all my videos because again, I like to think that they have an amazing amount of replay value. And I'm getting closer to running my first live, so I have been thinking about what should I do, what kind of presentation the people would like, and again, I want to find out. The way to find out is to have the people comment on these shows. You comment on the shorts, we see a lot of those. I want to see some people comment on some of these sit downs, some of these high thoughts. Because I'm running some of this conversation by you, sometimes I might just try to connect with the regular people because again, I'm just a regular guy just like you, just trying to make it. I'm not gonna say like the Island Boys because we saw what them boys do, kissing each other, getting beat up in boxing matches, and all this silly, crazy Charleston White shit. I don't have anything to do with something like that. That's a very toxic space over here, and I have enough situations with toxicity, in my life sometimes. Excuse me, give me a second. And when we talk about these terminologies on the show, with this whole thing going around now, I want to switch up topics with this toxic masculinity. What's happening here? It used to be, it wasn't so toxic, but now everybody's the toxic Avenger, and I don't think that's a good thing. This toxic masculinity, is it the counteract to the sassy, zesty man situation? Like, I have to prove my masculinity so hard. I have to take these Rocco Sparkles seriously to get so hard. Because I need to prove my point hard. Very hard. Very stiffly, I'm sorry. But what's going on with this whole thing, this beta conversation, the alpha male, the toxic man over here, just making all people think that every guy, that goes to the gym or works out or anything is a douchey man. And it's just making the average individual look like a goofy goober. If I'm going to be honest. You don't want to come across like a goofy goober. With this generation already having issues, being goofies and clowns and running around with broccoli haircuts, tank tops, and Crocs. And these tendies and nugget orders going all the way skyrocketing out here. Outrageous numbers of tender nuggets just disappearing off the shelves. All these kids pulling on their mother's legs. Because they want it all, people. But again, I'm going backwards. I'm sorry. I'm talking about toxic masculinity. Is it because we were talking about all the good testosterone going to other trans men? And is it starting this toxic culture where men are trying to protect their manhood, even if it goes to a toxicity? With the masculine toxicity. I don't know. And is it driving a wedge between the male and the females? Not just in the gyms, not just at the snack lines, but in the conversation. In the society, is it driving a wedge between the relationships? Are women starting to go into the dad bods because, these men are more humble, they have better conversations, and they possibly lack that masculine toxicity because they have the fatherly toxicity. Son, you think you should do that? That's gay. Just berating your child. Sorry, I'm trying not to lose my voice. There's been a thing that's been going on. I'm just trying to fight it. I think smoking is helping. We're doing a lot of shows, but I mean, I did talk about taking that tea, but then I went with the coffee and defeated the purpose of trying to have a healthy voice. Because I may have been running it ragged. It may be a little bit extra screechy or cutting in and out and just having a lot of problems. Like my Wi-Fi from earlier when I was doing the Uncle Bobby experience. But that's what you got to do. You got to deal with the disappointment and the compromise. As an adult doing adult things that people call adulting now more than ever. You may have to deal with that. It's been going on a lot in this show. It's been a recurring thing. With the audios, having to take those shows on the road. Sometimes you might hear the residual noise in the background. Of a lot of cars and people talking and air and everything else that you're going to get cutting in through the feed. But again, that's what happens when you have to take the show on the move sometimes, because sometimes that's just something I have to do in order to get the conversation. Because I have people that possibly wouldn't allow the conversation to happen. Could you believe that? Could you really believe that? But yes, it's true. I have people that would have not allowed me to have some of these conversations or aired any of the content that have been running because they have big complaints about it. And been threatened about these things for some reason because, again, they care about the public speculations. Now, I'm the one that got to walk around the streets here, possibly getting notoriety. Possibly, good energy, good vibes over here. So I'm looking to bring that. But you never know who has nefarious means out here. Somebody that wouldn't want you to make it. It happens in your household. Imagine in the streets over here. It's like when you got enough enemies. That's why I don't have any friends really. You see that I walk alone. If anybody's been watching me, look at pack me up. Try to get Uncle Bobby to shut the fuck up already and get him out of here. Get him the fuck out of here. This fat, formerly wide-back bitch. We got people that want to do something about it. Running around here with tasers. Just pressing a button, letting me know they have it. They're going to throw me in the truck at any moment. But then again, they have to deal with a man with this advanced hand-eye coordination. This advanced hand-to-hand training. A man that doesn't fear death. That embodies the cero miedo. Yo voy chica tu madre cabrón. Like a penta. Because that's what I do. That's what I bring to the table. I might bang your moms on the table. No, but honestly, I'm just trying to run my business here. I'm trying to conduct some business here. I sound like fucking Christian Cage over here. Just conducting business, pounding mothers out. But I'm trying to make a show here. Somewhere along the way, I felt like I've lost sight of the whole point of what I was talking about just a little bit. Maybe I'm guilty of treading a little bit too far in that rant. But what I was trying to say was that I'm dealing with a lot of personal issues. And then I have to embody the shallow bluff rant. I don't care what society thinks. I don't care what the people think. I walk around with my head high. Because in the beginning, I was getting gawked at. I was laughed at. This fucking guy thinks he's going to make it in YouTube. But the more that I pursued it, the more that I ignored it, the more that I just kept doing my thing, regardless of what people were thinking and saying and doing at the time. Starting to shift. The culture starting to shift. People are starting to understand that I take myself not too serious at times because people all the time tend to take themselves way too serious. And I'm just not one of those people. I never had that issue. And I still respect myself. I still treat myself with tons of respect. I still think that I am the Momo that has worth, the legend, the icon, the drinking at the tight, the kaiju. And I wouldn't say all those things if I didn't believe in myself to be all these manifestations of greatness. It's one day, everybody online, everybody at Spotify, everybody on YouTube, all over the place, they're going to one day have to just acknowledge Uncle Bobby. The new face of podcasting. They're going to take over. They're going to shake things up, people. And I'm looking to take it to the internet, to the algorithm. Show for show. Looking to make it a hit for hit. Even if they tell me, Uncle Bobby, your last show is always going to be better than your new show. And I'm going to tell those people, Dennis Leary has a song called Assholes, and maybe he named it after you. But, with that being said, I'm getting ready to cut out this show. Hopefully you had a good time. I would run these things a little longer, but then, I got to deal with the uploading of YouTube and these videos, and then I'm going to be here for like an hour with my phone and the battery and the dying and the whole thing, and it's a tedious charge. But at least YouTube gets the videos, Spotify gets the audios, because again, trying to suppress these files into smaller files and then transfer them, it's just a hassle. I don't understand. I guess the only people that can get it done is Joe Rogan or Joey Rogan or Andrew Tate. Or Tate, depending on what you think this man is. And until AI, does a butthole tutorial of me, waxing my ass hairs off for your pleasure. I guess I'm going to get ready to end this show. And then for the morning, afternoon, or whenever we catch you, remember me.